More details as we get them, but let's get an update now on the other news of the day with Charlotte.
Thank you, Mark. Pakistan's Prime Minister has made a desperate appeal to the world for help as the country struggles to deal with floods across the country. The plea comes as Pakistan's president continues his visit to Britain, where he'll address supporters at a rally in Birmingham. 12 million people have been affected in the...
Well, congratulations anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'll play some of their music instead at the disco in the evening, do you think? Take That's greatest hits.
Thank you. I think I prefer Robbie's back catalogue myself, but there we are. Let's take a look at the papers and we'll story as we get them. But let's get an update too on the rest of the morning's headlines now with Charlotte.
Thank you, Mark. Pakistan's Prime Minister has made a desperate appeal for aid to help those affected by the floods. The plea comes as Pakistan's president continues his visit. And Robbie Williams will marry his fiancée Ada Field in California today. The couple are expected to tie the knot on the island of Santa Catalina. They met through friends 3 years ago. The singer's family will attend, but his Take That colleagues will not be at the ceremony.
Charlotte, thank you very much indeed for that. Let's bring you more on that breaking news from Afghanistan. And, you know, it's time to go to the cinema because joining us is Time Out's film critic Dave Calhoun. Dave, good morning.
Morning.
Night and Day, rather, which got only 1 star from certain reviews in the papers, and I think you're probably going to mark it the same?
It hasn't got the best reviews. Some people have quite liked it, but this film was released in the States a few weeks ago. It did very, very badly there.
Huge stars with Cruise and his pillion passenger there, Cameron Diaz.
Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz, huge advance publicity, appearance on television, massive premiere. But the question is, is it any good? It's Tom Cruise trying to do an action role again, in his later years.
This is just a remake of the Brosnan bike chase from one of the Bond films.
It's a remake of a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's trying to be a bit of a Hitchcock film as well, but that's a terrible thing to try and live up to, because it's got flashes of North by Northwest.
Oh my goodness!
It's you don't really know what's going on the whole time, basically. Cameron Diaz plays every girl in Wichita. Tom Cruise turns up. He's maybe a secret agent. Suddenly starts dominating her life, taking her on a tour of the States. Suddenly they're in Europe. They're on a train. They're in Seville in the bullfighting. We don't really know what's going on, but in a bad way. But obviously in a Hitchcock film like North by Northwest.
They're not at Mount Rushmore, though.
They're not.
No, they left that out at least.
It feels like they could be, but they are on a train, like in 39 Steps and The Lady Vanishes.
So I mean, all the elements should be there.
Yeah, they should be there. And you've got these two, you've got these stars, and it's been said there's not enough chemistry between them. It's not really true. Actually, the banter between them is okay. The big problem is the script.
Okay, let's have a listen to the script, see what emerges.
Did you see his hands? By any chance, they just snatched that bag right out of the air. Lightning fast reflexes. Occupado!
It's supposed to be an action comedy, and as you can see there's plenty of action. We've got motorbikes, we've got fights, we've got aeroplanes crashing, and something's happening the whole time.
But no depth.
There's no comedy, really. And there's no... There are lines in there which are supposed to be funny, but they fall flat, and they fall flat line after line after line.
Is Tom Cruise a bit of a busted flush now?
He's trying to do comedy and action here, two things which, he's done obviously a lot of action, he's done the odd bit of comedy. He needs to do something else. I think maybe he needs to find a serious, dramatic role. But most of all, he needs to find a good script. I mean, even when he picks a film like Valkyrie, in which, it was Second World War drama, serious role, playing a difficult character, it wasn't a very good film.
He needs to rediscover Risky Business or something from the early days, yeah. OK, Cats and Dogs, The Revenge of Kitty Galore.
This is...
do you know, there was a row, just to let you know something. When Goldfinger came out, the Americans didn't want Pussy Galore as the character for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So Honor Blackman said they wanted Kitty Galore. They wanted to rename her Kitty Galore for the US market.
Here they have.
They've got their wish at long last.
I mean, you mentioned how Night and Day was ripping off Bond and a little. This is a Mission Impossible Bond spoof for kids who probably have never seen Bond or Mission Impossible, really, because it really is for the youngest market. You've got talking animals. The evil character is Kitty Galore, sorry, voiced by Bette Midler. and cats and dogs of the world have to unite to fight against it. It's really not very good. The problem with this film is I can see young kids getting some fun from it, but the parents are really not going to have a very good time at all.
It's the last choice in the DVD store in about 6 months' time when there's nothing else there, isn't there? Anyway, let's forget about that, I think. Yeah, we've been there, seen there, done that. Step Up 3D. Now, I'm not familiar with the Step Up film series, I have to say.
Well, this is, the title suggests it's the third in the Step Up films,
really?
And the first one to be in 3D. Very glossy, MTV-style street dancing films,
Oh,
really.
I
We actually
see.
had a British version of this, Street Dance 3D, earlier this summer, which did fairly well. This is, if you like...
Is this sort of flash dance brought up to date?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a series of music videos. I mean, the plot's very thin. You've got this guy who's a street dancing overlord living in a huge Soho flat in New York, gathers together loads of people. They have to win a tournament to be able to pay the rent on their flat. But the story is irrelevant. The question is, do you enjoy watching 20 dancers doing pretty flashy, impressive moves? If you do, you'll enjoy it. If you don't, you'll find it terribly boring.
This is not your kind of film, Mark.
No,
I'd just like to
I'm
say.
actually going to go with the DVD or the Blu-ray release, which we talk about Hitchcock. Psycho is out, 50th anniversary on Blu-ray. Is it worth it with a black and white film?
Yeah, I think so, because it's going to be... I mean, one, it's worth seeing Psycho any time at all. There was a 50th anniversary cinema release earlier this year. I went to see it, and it's fantastic. If the Blu-ray release, as it does, means that it looks as good as it possibly can at home, as crisp as possible, then absolutely it's worth seeing. I mean, it's still... The thing with Hitchcock, I mean, you could call this Hitchcock's masterpiece, but he made several of them. We mentioned North by Northwest earlier, and this is probably one of 5 masterpieces.
Marnie, he made with Connery, of course,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, as you
39
say, this
Steps.
really was perhaps him at the height of his power. The Birds, of course, another one.
Yeah, Vertigo. This is most famous for the shower scene, which I think even if you haven't seen Psycho, you'll have seen clips of the death in the shower scene, or you'd have seen rip-offs of the shower scene in other films or in adverts. It's one of those really iconic scenes in cinema.
Worth adding to the collection.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you very much for your selection this week. Thank you for your emails as well. We've got plenty of them still coming in.
I'll rattle through a few. We've had loads actually this morning on SatNav. Brian Blessing's going to be the new voice of SatNav. We're getting your suggestions. David in Ireland said Mr. Bean for those who get lost. Matthew says, how about Barack Obama for that inspirational SatNav? Kevin says Alan Partridge, back of the net. And Jane Gibson, I'm sorry about my impressions.
Sorry.
Jane Gibson in Wiltshire says it's got to be Marilyn Monroe. Turn left. What about that one?
Oh, do that again. Oh, that was good. I like that. Yeah.
Better than my Mr. T impression.
The only problem with Mr. Bean, he never talked, did he?
No, it's
That's
right.
true, he
Wouldn't be
didn't.
much
And
No,
you have
that'd
to
be
drive around
rubbish.
in a sort of lime green Mini, but there we are. Bit of athletics?
A bit of athletics, yes. World's fastest.
Summer left, Joe.
I think there is. I think it's going to be lovely tomorrow.
Ah.
For the time being, there is...